Okay, so in the previous videos, we have looked at getting the die counts, ending the turn, three of a kind, full house, small straight. We're ready for placing Yahtzee. Now, this method has logic that's a little different than some of the other methods, and I found that I personally was getting a little bit lost in my code. So I'm sure that at times you will be coding and you're going to get a little bit lost as to what your program is really supposed to do, and you'll have some trouble in the ifs, in all the if statements, trying to figure out, does this really do what I want it to do? So one way to kind of step back a little bit and think about what your program is supposed to do is to create what they call use cases. Okay? So you start out by saying, okay, what is going on in my program? What did the user do? In our case, the user clicks the Yahtzee category. Now, there are three different cases that could happen when they click the category. Either the score is already set to 0, or the score is set to -1. So if it's -1, this is the very first time they've ever clicked it. If it's set to 0, that means they clicked it once before, and the very first time they clicked it, they did not have a Yahtzee. So put a 0 in there. The third possibility is the first time they clicked it, they did have a Yahtzee. They got 50 points, and maybe they've had more points. So the score is 50 or higher. And so it's easy if you break it into these three cases to say, hey, have I got every possibility? Well, either it's -1, or it's 0, or it's 50 or higher. Yeah, and those are really all the possibilities. So now let's break those cases down a little bit more. If it's 0, and they click in it, what do we want to happen? I would like this method to just quit. They can't score in Yahtzee again. Once they have clicked in it, if they did not have a Yahtzee, it puts a 0 in there. And if they click on it again, I just want the program to quit and make them click somewhere else. Case 2, and I think that's the only thing that we're going to do if it's a 0. Case 2. Score is -1. That means this is the very first time they've clicked in the Yahtzee. If they have a Yahtzee, set it to 50. Otherwise, set it to 0. And that pretty much takes care of case 2. Case 3 is 50 or higher. So they clicked in it, they had a Yahtzee, they got at least their 50 points. Maybe they clicked in it again and got more points, I don't know. But at least they've got a score of 50 or higher. Now, if they have a Yahtzee, increase the score by 100. Otherwise, quit. But don't change the score or end the turn. Now this is really important because, see, up here, we're not ending the turn, right? Right here, we're ending the turn. They either got 0 or 50. Turn is ended. But down here, there's a possibility. If they're getting that 100 points, then we're ending the turn. But if they're not, we're not ending their turn, right? So if they've got 50 or more points, maybe they just clicked in Yahtzee on accident and they didn't have one. We're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt in this case and say, oh, well, they maybe meant to click on something else. So go ahead and don't end the turn, let them click somewhere else. So these are all the cases. This last one being kind of the hardest to think through. But this basically is all of the logic you need to take care of. And I find it's a lot easier to write my code if I'm getting a little bit lost, and this is certainly complicated enough for a person to get lost, to step back, write down my cases in something like a Word document. Sometimes people will write little boxes with little arrows splitting out to the different things, and it'll look sort of like we call it a tree structure. But get your logic down of what you want to happen in every possible scenario in something that's easy for you to look at and maybe just kind of check off when the different scenarios are taken care of in your code. So then you can go back to your code. So now, let's take care of case 1. If the score is 0, just return. Return and give them another chance to click somewhere else. So check. Case 1's taken care of. Now case 2 and case 3 both have the possibility that if they have a Yahtzee, you do one thing, if they don't, do something else. So if we don't return immediately after case 1, go ahead and get the die counts, set a flag for got Yahtzee to false, go through all the dice, and if you find that there is any particular value that has all 5 dice set to it, then set got Yahtzee to true. So now we've determined whether or not we have a Yahtzee. So now we're going to say, all right, let's take care of case 2. Case 2 is the score was -1. So if Yahtzee, if the score is -1, then if we've got a Yahtzee, set their score to 50. Otherwise, set it to 0. Now, it's not going to do this last else part. It will end the turn. Okay? So that takes care of case 2. Now, case 3, if you're not in case 1 and didn't return, if you're not in case 2 and you didn't do the -1, then you must be down here. And so we'll take care of case 3 in this section of code. Case 3, if they've got a Yahtzee. If they've got a Yahtzee, increase their score by 100. It won't do this, it'll end their turn. Okay? But if they did not have a Yahtzee, you're not going to change their score, and you don't want to get down here where their turn is ended, so just go ahead and quit. So there are really 2 ways that they can quit without doing anything. Either the score was 0 and they clicked in it. It's not going to let them place anything there. It's going to make them click somewhere else. Or the score was 50 or more and they did not have a Yahtzee, and then it returns without changing the score and without ending their turn. But if it changes their score here, here, or here, then it's not going to get to this return, and it didn't get to this return, otherwise it never would have changed their gotten down here and changed their score. So if it does any of these 3, it's going to end up ending their turn down here. So I think that gets through the entire place in Yahtzee thing. Place in chance will be for you to do, and I'll add some comments and give you another little video about everything you need to do. Place in upper section. So we've calculated an index. So in this game, so they roll a couple of times, they've got to place it, they're going to click in one of these categories. Now if this is their roll, and they click in aces, then the place in upper section method will be called with an index of 1. If they click in 2s, it'll be called with an index of 2. If they click in 3s, it'll be called with an index of 3, and so on, all the way up to 6s. Now, if their dice are rolled exactly like this, then if they click in aces, they're going to get 1 point, because there's 1 ace. If they click in 2s, they're going to get 2 points, because there's 1 2. If they click in 3s, they'll get 3 points for that category, because there's 1 3. If they click in 4s with this set of dice, there's going to get 8 points, because there are 2 4s. 4 times 2 is 8. If they click in 5s, they're going to get no points, because there are no 5s. If they click in 6s, they're going to get no points. So really, their possibility of getting points is much higher in 6s, because if they have 5 6s, well, if they've got 5 6s, they're going to click in Yahtzee. But if they have 4 6s and they click here, it's going to be 4 times 6. But if they've got aces, well, the most points they could get there is well, 5 for all practical purposes, because if they've got 5 aces, 5 1s, they're definitely going to click into Yahtzee. But anyway, so for place in upper section, how are we going to do this? Well, if it's not empty, quit. Then set the score equal to 0. And in this case, we don't need to get the die counts. We're just going to say for each of the dice if the dice's value is equal to the index, increase the score by that dice's value. And so, say for example, we're using this set of dice. We're going to go through each of the dice. Say the index was 1. Score starts out at 0. It's going to go through this dice. Well, since this dice isn't equal to a 1, it does nothing. This one's not equal to a 1, it does nothing. This one is a 1, so it's going to increase it by 1. This one's not a 1, so it doesn't increase it. This one's not a 1, it doesn't increase it. So then when you get out of the loop, the score is 1, which is exactly what we wanted if they clicked on the 1s category. Likewise, if the index was 4, they've clicked on the 4s category, you go through the dice, score starts out at 0, it's going to go through each die, it's going to go to the first die, it says the value of that die is equal to the index, so you increase the score by the value of that die. You increase it by 4. And then this one is not equal to the index, this one's not equal to the index, this one is, so it's going to increase it by another 4 up to 8. This one's not equal to the index, so then when you exit the for loop, the score is equal to 8, exactly what we wanted. And so on, I mean, you get the idea from there. So upper section, sub-index, okay, so say they clicked on 4s, their score for the 4s category then becomes 8. If they clicked on a 1, the score for the 1s category becomes 1. And if they've successfully clicked on a category that had a -1 in it, it'll set that category to the appropriate score and then end their turn. So that's it. In the next assignment, I will give you another video and I will give you a zip file with all the source code. For this assignment, I just want you to watch the videos and answer questions to make sure that you've watched all the videos completely and thought through everything. Have fun. I believe that's the last video.